The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
A father has, the article uses the word accidentally, although
we question that term.
We question that term. I'm going to say negligently killed his own son with a gun. Immediately started defending guns, saying the gun didn't kill my boy.
I killed him.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, you did kill your boy, but it was with a gun. And there's no denying that. And if you weren't playing with guns, your boy would still be alive. And I never understand how this happens. I mean, this is probably, I guarantee you, this is one of those guys who says, I'm a responsible gun owner. I know all the rules. I'm a professional. I've been doing this my whole life.
Good guy with a gun.
You're a fucking idiot and you don't know what the fuck you're doing because you had your finger on the trigger when you shouldn't have.
Even Lewis, who has shot guns 5 times only, knows not to do that.
Way more than 5 times.
Oh, you have? Oh, I thought it was around 5.
Are you kidding?
I'm
5 times.
I am dead serious, Lewis.
Are you really?
Well, no, I didn't know. 5 to 10. I don't know.
Okay, way more than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Anyway, rule number 1 is you never point the gun at anyone.
Yeah.
And rule number 2 is basically don't keep your finger on the trigger.
And 3 is assume it's always loaded, right? I read that on
yeah.
the NRA's website where they teach 5-year-olds gun safety.
Yes. And so it seems this guy did know the gun was loaded. The report is that he was reaching behind his back and with the gun, reaching behind his back while holding the gun.
Completely normal. I mean, obviously, I see people do it all the time.
Yeah.
They walk around with guns. They just they reach behind their back, and that's
yeah.
it.
It's weird if they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't get. I mean, I don't think he was putting it in his pants or anything like that. It was just, it was weird. Anyway, he pulled the trigger and hit his son, and his 14-year-old son died.
Yeah. Charges?
There doesn't seem to be. No.
Just an accident. I mean, you know.
Well,
'cause
intent.
No charges pending, according to the sheriff's department. They are calling it an accidental shooting. No
I mean, if he were
thing.
Hillary, there would definitely be no charges
Yeah.
because he had no intent whatsoever to shoot his son.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to envision a scenario where a gun death is an accident. And
I just sort of reject the term.
the only one I can think of is if you have a faulty weapon or faulty ammunition.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, because usually what we're saying when you say that a shooting was an accident, you're basically saying that the person who was in charge of that gun's operation
Did nothing wrong.
did nothing wrong. And usually you can track it down to maybe not proactively doing something wrong, but certainly negligence, if nothing else, right? And particularly when we look at the kids who get into their parents' guns and shoot somebody, we say, well, it was an accident. Well, it may have been an accident for a kid who is not even legally responsible for their actions unless they're going to be tried as an adult. But it was certainly negligence because a parent was supposed to have secured that gun and made it impossible for a kid to get access to it. So I believe that 99.9% of the times that the term accident is used for a shooting, really what we're talking about is negligence, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I just came up with a kind of ridiculous example in my head, but what if someone is blind and deaf and they have a gun and someone enters their home and they don't actually even know that someone's entered their home.
Right.
And they happen to be playing with their gun.
Right.
And
Which blind people do all the time, as we know.
Most commonly on a daily basis. And then they hit the trigger and they happen to have been pointing it in their direction. So
That sounds like a legitimate accident to me.
Yeah.
And the stories we read about so-called accidents are nowhere close to that, are they?
I wouldn't even call that an accident because if you think about it, that bullet can go through a window, hit someone on the street. It can
So
hit
you're
someone
saying even
in
if you
another
are
house.
definitely by yourself in the house as a blind person cleaning your gun
and deaf.
and deaf, still you might be shooting someone outside if somebody walked by your window.
What I'm saying is that if a gun goes off and it is not because it is a faulty weapon,
Yeah. It is not an accident.
it is not an accident, it is
All right.
negligence.
That's I mean, it's strict, but it's not crazy.
I'd like to see charges. This is manslaughter. This is a clear case of manslaughter to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are all in agreement. And unfortunately, and I'm sure this guy is broken up. I'm sure he is.
Of course.
But he's also a fucking idiot, like I said, and needs to be punished legally for being a murderer.
Good tact. I like your tact,
Me
Lewis.
too.
Thank you. Yep. Throw the book at him. All right. PBS is in deep doo-doo right now with the American public after showing fireworks from last year during this year's fireworks display, which they were covering live. Now,
Was it on purpose, though?
it was, of course,
What was the intent? Said it
it
once.
was overcast. It was cloudy. It was overcast.
The weather wasn't good.
And it did not make for good TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened was someone made the executive decision to start airing fireworks from the previous year. However, they did not disclose to the public that was what was happening. People noticed on their own, as people tend to do, especially when you can see the fireworks and what you're seeing on TV. There's no overcast skies, and it's just impossible.
Yeah.
So people took to the Twitters and the Facebooks and the internets.
Would I be out of line, Lewis, in saying I could not care less about this?
No, but don't you think there should have been disclosure here?
I am in favor of disclosure all the time. I just hate fireworks. I do not care about fireworks. And here in Boston, I got back from the long weekend at about 4 or 5 o'clock on Monday.
They were
and I
keeping
knew
me up to.
Big Boston fireworks, big thing. I'm going to be able to see them from the roof of my building. It starts getting dark, but it's not that dark yet, and fireworks start. And I said, this can't be the fireworks. And indeed it wasn't. These were some other fireworks that went from about 8 to 9. Finally got dark about 9:15, 9:30. Then the official fireworks start. Took a look. I could see them from the roof. It's all fantastic. I don't care about fireworks, but fine, I can see the big Boston fireworks. Those clearly end with a building shaking finale, as they like to call it. And I start winding down and getting ready for bed. And I get into bed, and no sooner than I open up my book to start reading, another round of fireworks begins, which seems to be coming from a completely different direction, mind you, at this point.
One much closer to us.
One much closer. And it lasted for about an hour and a half. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that it sounded like there was not a 21 gun salute, but something reminiscent of a 100 gun salute, just individual shots that sounded like old muskets shooting. I don't know if you guys heard this. Hours of fireworks.
Yeah, it was. I only live a block or two from Dave. I was hearing the same stuff. It went on till maybe
11:15. Oh, you
11,
think? Okay, wow.
Yeah, maybe around there.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly. I was just trying to sleep. I slept for like 10 hours. I was exhausted. And it was obnoxious.
Yeah. Fireworks pro against.
I like fireworks. I think that if you were trying to sleep, earplugs, always a good thing.
Oh, these were way too loud for any earplug I've ever owned.
Well, secondly, I understand that you don't care about it, but I think it brings up interesting questions. What was their intent by airing these fake fireworks? Was it an accident? Was there some See, this story is actually, it kind of
there are bigger
embodies
issues.
everything.
Yeah. No, I get what
everything.
you're saying.
Technology, intent. Was it an accident? I don't know. I think there's some deep philosophical questions here.
I say if it's cloudy during fireworks, show some Charlie Rose repeats. I'd be thrilled with that.
Love Charlie Rose.
Well, they said that it was the patriotic thing to do was to air fireworks that you could actually see because you couldn't see the ones happening in D.C.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this different than someone lip syncing?
This is not nearly as bad.
Not as bad as lip syncing.
In
I
other
would
words,
say.
the
These did
fake
happen.
fireworks did happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone is lip syncing, they are genuinely misrepresenting how they are singing. Although presumably at some point they recorded that, but of course, as we know, it could be tuned and made to sound much better than their natural singing ability. I think this is far less dishonest than lip syncing.
Right. I mean, people were pretty perturbed when Ashley Simpson was caught lip syncing on SNL.
I was thrilled
Yeah.
because we finally figured out this is what's going on, right?
I knew the whole time that was what was going
Yeah.
on. You
Who
kidding
was
me?
shocked by
That's what
that?
the vast majority
Yeah.
of artists like her are doing. And this is on par with now if we were to have the fireworks equivalent of lip syncing, it would be PBS putting CG fireworks
Exactly.
in the background.
Where
of the
no
moment.
people,
Right.
no technicians actually created that at
Yeah.
any point in reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. So, okay.
Town hall.
Yeah. Town hall. Go ahead.
So we do these town halls every 2 to 3 months where on usually a Tuesday or Wednesday night, our members join us and we just answer questions for an hour or so. And we were hoping to do that next week. And the reason we haven't, and I'm coming to you for technical advice on this, is we used to use this platform called Spreecast, which was perfect. It had a system for people to ask questions. They could join us on camera. It worked fantastic with 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 people at a time. Spreecast is shutting down, and we actually don't have a technical platform chosen right now to do the next town hall. And people have talked about using a Google Hangout, but my sense is that that works at about a 50% ratio to what we would like when you have 4 people. If we had 100 people join us, I can only imagine it would be total and utter chaos on Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I suppose, unless there is some other, unless they have, it's multi-purpose and you can set it up.
Right.
If it's designed to be able to handle that in a different way from the way it handles your normal 4 or 5 person
Right.
hangouts.
So you have like a 3-person panel of people that are on live, and then everybody else is sort of in an observer mode or whatever. I haven't looked at it enough. We're going to look at it today. If you have a number one, if you are proficient with these Google Hangouts, which is not a platform we've used, we use Skype for our interviews, let me know if it can work in a way that will be good for what we're trying to do here. And if you have another platform to suggest, by all means, let me know. And we'll see, maybe we'll push it back a week because we do want to make sure we have time to promote it and have the right platform. But please get in touch over the next 24 hours about it.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.